Story time. This morning I was teaching a class and the software that I was depending on conked out. There I was, very first day of class, no software. And then I rolled up my sleeves and said, you know what? This is what I trained for. And I drew those pictures on the board and I explained things like we used to. You know, when it was just you and the chalk, man. You know, if that chalk broke, that was you. YouTube. Welcome back. We are in full world building mode right now. We're working on the Biirai languages and the Biirai culture. And we're trying to figure out what exactly is going on to make them share a language. These people who live in the desert, probably in fairly isolated circumstances, why do they all share a language? So this is what we're going to work on today. It's going to be a world building, sort of half Conlang, half world building. So let's jump in and let's see, where's my side webcam? There it is. Whoa. That's a fan fishing contest. How'd that get there? Let's go over to Biirai. So the idea that I had, and I posted this in Discord, and by the way, YouTube, if you're watching this and you're thinking, Discord, there's a Discord? I had no idea about this. Please, I encourage you, check out the description because you'll see a link and you're more than welcome to join us. But I made a little tree of what I imagined the relationship between the Biiraic languages to be. So we have Biirai, which apparently we're going to be slow today on this computer. We have Biirai, which is this language that we've been working on. Biirai. We have Biirai. This is the language, you know, where if you want to say hello, you say Tagi Aumkisi. And if you haven't studied Biirai yet, check out one of our earlier videos, which I'm sure we'll also link if we remember. Okay, so Biirai, that's Biirai. So I'm going to call this Biirai, but this is really literary or classical Biirai. Classical on the one hand. Then on the other hand, we have various vernacular Biirai dialects. And dialects is going to be the term that we use, but they are probably, depending on what we end up doing, they'll probably be better thought of as separate languages, but based on mutual intelligibility. But the political consideration or the cultural consideration and the predominance of classical Biirai is going to make us tempted to call them dialects in universe. So I'll call them that for now. Vernacular Biirai dialects. Why have I put these in two separate planes? Well, because I think the vernacular Biirai dialects should not descend directly from classical Biirai. I think they need a Proto... I don't know what's going on with my computer. It just seems to halt every few seconds. Proto-vernacular Biirai. And I'm thinking that these two have a similar relationship to as classical Latin and Proto-Romance do. So this is the ancestor of all of the vernacular dialects, and this is a self-consciously literary form of the language. There's a relationship between these two, and we could say that there's another language that from which they both descend, Proto-Biiraic. But this is the rough structure, and there will be many of these vernacular Biirai dialects. So that's the rough structure I'm thinking of. I'm just not cooperating today. Nothing's cooperating today. So let's ponder just briefly what is above Biiraic, Proto-Biiraic. I don't know. So because we always appreciate a good meme, we have decided to make the family of which Biiraic is a member, the whole Biiraic branch is a member, Proto-Biirai back, which means we also have Proto the back. And we need to wonder what's going on here. What are these languages? So this is another thing that we'll be discussing shortly. All right. So in what way is Proto-Biiraic, is Proto-Vernacular Biirai and going to be different from literary Biirai? I'm not sure we have to make any big decisions about this yet, but I'm leaving this in as a branch so that we can some play. So if we want some feature in these vernacular dialects, then we can do that. Otherwise, we can ignore the difference. Okay, yeah, we're struggling today. It's one of those days. I tell you, this morning I was teaching a class. Story time. This morning I was teaching a class, and the software that I was depending on conked out, and there I was, sort of very first day of class, no software, no nothing, and then I rolled up my sleeves and said, you know what? This is what I trained for. And I drew those pictures on the board, and I explained things like we used to. When it was just you and the chalk, man. It was crazy, crazy times. We didn't have all this technology. I mean, we actually did have quite a bit of it. We had email. We even had Facebook, but we even had Twitter. But the point is, we didn't have all this technology, man. It was just you and the chalk out there. If that chalk broke, that was you. That was you done. You had to gesticulate wildly. Oh, it was a grim scene. Anyway, back to work. Ooh, Jack, I like that idea. Have one surviving Biirai dialect preserve some Proto-Biirai features that classical Biirai has lost. All right, so I think what we need to do is start working on we need to start working our way a little bit back to Tbak. We need to start working our way back to Tbak. You get my meaning, I hope. So what I would like out of the Tbak languages is I have this idea. I think let's just go off script and let's just mess around today, because when things don't go your way, you got to make some lemons. Make some lemons out of that lemonade. So you remember how we did with Sakrat, with Proto-Sakrat, we have this sesquisyllabic language where we have a minor syllable and a major syllable, something like this. So Sakrat, and obviously there are some complications, with R's and things, but so we have this this kind of structure where we have the light syllable and then the heavy syllable, the minor syllable and the major syllable. I think Tbak, maybe not Proto-Tbak, but one of the languages in Tbak should have the opposite kind of structure. So it's sesquisyllabic in the opposite way. Something like this. So instead of like Sakrat, it would be more like Kratza. That's just an example. And it would have this trochaic structure. So Sakrat is very iambic. We have this weak, strong rhythm going on in the language. And one of these Tbak languages can be kind of the opposite, strong, weak. So Kratza. I'd also like it to be, I kind of want like a cute, round language, like a little kind of, I don't know how to describe this. Let's try and figure out how to describe this. I want something where a viable word would be like blombo or something like that, like, something like that. I don't know. I just want something kind of round and cute. All right. I see some good ideas coming up in the chat. Blombo. And I want, I think this language could also use a lot of rhyme. I think that would be kind of fun. Blombo dombo. This kind of thing, it's kind of dun 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 dun. That's the vibe I want for one of these Tbak languages. So how we get there from Biirai, I have no idea. But let's work on some phonological mysteries, some phonological features for Proto-Tbak. And let's turn to you, the chat, because I think it will be cool knowing that we have Biirai here, knowing that we have Blombo Bombo or Glombo Bombo or whatever, as we want that to be one of the Tbak languages. Those are two interesting fixed points, and I think having a third one will enable us to take also to creative pathways between them. So, do you have anything you're dying to see in Proto-Tbak? Are there any features Last time we rolled the dice, but this time I'm going to put it in the hands of the chat. So we need to, I want to know if there's anything that you've just been dying to see in one of these languages that we haven't done yet. And then, Elijah, we are going to triangulate. So we're going to take all of these constraints on us and see how we can, what does Proto-Biirai look like? What does Proto-Biirai back look like? So that's the idea. Okay, so I see so many good things here. Okay, so constant mutation. We know I love constant mutation. Breathy voice stops. Clusters. Clusters from Queen. The Dutch r. All right. D voice trills. Polypersonal agreement. Okay, this I did the thing I should never do, and I asked chat for suggestions. There is no shortage of ideas in this community. That is for sure. Breathy voice stops. Vowel harmony. Georgian level clusters. Okay. All right. So I think we got a good collection of features here. Let's see. So we have what are we gonna do? Let's get our IPA keyboard up. There we are. And let's start making a little inventory. I'm just gonna be totally messy today. And this is gonna be Proto. And for those who are wondering why I'm not using more hotkeys and things, it's because this is Windows, and half the time I use a hotkey, some random stuff comes up over the screen, or Windows go flying into the great beyond, and you know, it's tough out there. It's tough out there for a Mac user on a Windows machine. Okay, the back. So let's get a little basic consonant chart here. Labial, coronal, dorsal, glottal, stop. I don't know what's going on with my computer. I blame the dark forces of Windows. Nasal. Okay, let's worry about the Austrian system first before we move on to anything else. Okay. Queen's having regrets about quat. It's not as out there. So we have to make up for it here. So Proto back. So we need some breathy voice stops. So let's give ourselves a compliment. Ba, da, ga. That's a good start. I guess I don't need to copy the whole thing, do I? There we go. And if we're going to have those, I think we should also have our voiceless, pataka. Whether we want to have a more elaborate voicing contrast, I'm not sure. Let's see. The machine god. Seriously, Jack, the machine god is not my friend today. I don't know what I did. I don't know. It's as I always say, it's rough out there. It is rough out there. All right. Pa, ba, da, da, ka, ga. Let's see, what else have I promised? Ah, yeah, the voice velar fricative. Where is that? You'd think it would be under G, right? Not so. Unvoiced. So what we could just do the, I don't know. I don't want to do Sanskrit exactly, but because then we might get, we might have the temptation to. Okay, so what if we did do Sanskrit? A 4-way voicing contrast. We would have to promise not to do anything Sanskrit-like anywhere else. Or we could just do, like Quain suggests, the Wu dialect issue, or the Wu dialect approach. Yeah, okay, let's just do a 3-way voicing contrast. I think that's what the mood in the chat is in favor of. And if we have this, r, I almost would like this r to have come from somewhere. Interesting. Interesting. Just kidding, unless. Okay. So let's be boring before we can. Let's be boring before we are interesting. I would like this not to be so symmetrical. What if we didn't do this and the r had come from the g? And so we have a gap here. And then we have a fairly fricative poor inventory. And so this sort of tells us a bit of a diachronic story, that there's this gap here and yet there's this r fricative here. Maybe the g became r. So for Proto Biirai back, we'd have a more symmetrical system. Who knows? Potential. Nasals. Okay. So let's get some approximates here. Oh, I don't know what's going on with this computer. It just decides every few seconds just to chug. And it's not doing, what am I asking it to do? I'm asking it to stream. This is ridiculous. All right, so I don't know about any affricates. Let's get ourselves some nasals. So if this is the back, then we would need a b, otherwise the b would actually be the back. The back. Interesting. Okay. The back. Yeah, okay, so we're all on the same page here. And n. No n. I don't know if we can do no n. But we could do a velar nasal as well. And also keep in mind that tobak doesn't actually have to be pronounceable in Proto-Tobak. It could be, tobak could be one of the daughter languages. A word from one of the daughter, it could even be an exonym for all we know. That happens a lot. All right. Let's put in a little break here. I'm going to take a little eensy-weensy break. Make sure all the technical stuff is okay, and then we'll be back and we'll work on Proto-Back. So, YouTube, where are you? Here you are. YouTube, we will see you shortly. We're going to be working on Proto-Back. Everything's going to be great, and the computer's not going to be a problem. Right? Right? Okay, see you next time.